It's a beautiful city, Copenhagen. I don't know if you guys have been, but it's right, 7 people have been. Okay, that's good. It's expensive from Barcelona to Copenhagen, really. But it's a beautiful city, and I got there and I'd never played in the street, so I didn't know what to expect in this town. And on the first day, I set everything up. I got my guitar and my CDs and amplifier. It was okay, it wasn't raining, great. And I started playing, and I think maybe 23 seconds into my first song, the police came over. He said, "Look, can you turn the music down? Can you stop selling CDs? Can you stop selling drugs and guns?" And I thought it was very strict. And so basically told me to fuck off. And so I went back to my hostel and I sat there thinking, And the next day, I got up, I went out, and I found a place where the police couldn't find me. The problem is that nobody else found me either. It was a very lonely day, and I was kind of playing to myself, but I thought, fuck it, I'll just keep on playing, see what happens. And this old man ended up walking past, and he stopped and he looked, and then he sat down, and he closed his eyes, and he sat very still for about an hour. And he was very old. And I was worried that my music was so bad that I killed him. But thankfully he was alive, and he was just listening. You know, it's usually nowadays people are always on iPads or iPhones or something. They're never just listening, and I loved it. I was so happy that maybe just one person that day, my music would mean something to them, you know. And so at the end he came over and we had this conversation that I will never forget. He was from Australia, actually, and oh, more Australians. They're breeding. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, he said he was an Australian guy, and he said him and his wife had never travelled outside of Australia. They'd never seen any other country, so years ago they made a deal with each other. They said, look, when the kids are older and they've left home, let's go and see the world together. Let's go on an adventure and see every country and every city we'd always wanted to go and see. So, and so for years they saved money every month, and eventually the kids grew up and they left home, and they booked their flights and their hotels, and everything was organised, everything was ready. And a few months before they were meant to go, his wife very suddenly got very, very sick and died very quickly. And what I thought was so brave about this man is that he was in his 70s. He'd never travelled outside of one country before, and his wife had just died, but he still decided to go on this scary, confusing, confronting journey by himself. And I thought this was amazing, and I walked away from this man, and for the next few days I couldn't stop thinking about this conversation and this brave man. And I started writing a song about it just to try and kind of get it straight in my head, and I wrote everything that he told me. I wrote everything that I knew about him, and the song was only 1.5 minutes long, and most songs are 4 minutes, so even if I play it very slowly, it's a very short song. So it was a problem because I didn't know any more about this man. I didn't know how to finish this song. So I kept on playing it, trying to figure it out, trying to work it out. And I got to Switzerland a few days later, and I was outside my hostel there, and I was playing this song, and this woman came over and she sat down next to me, and I played her this song. She immediately started crying, burst into tears, and I didn't think this was strange because this is usually the effect that I have on women. Straight away, just pew. But it turns out her boyfriend that she'd been with for 10 years had just broken up with her. He'd found a younger woman, and so we sat up drinking apple juice all night, and I decided to write this song about her because although they had never met, they were complete strangers, there was no connection with those two people, there was something that was very similar about them. Barcelona, thank you so much for your patience, thank you for listening to my story. This is called Traveling World.